Taika Waititi, director of Thor Love and Thunder and Thor Ragnarok, is set to direct Judge Dredd. The Irish film industry is booming, and this can be attributed to the incentives they put in place. So we'll be taking a look at these incentives and more. And last but not the least, the Next Narrative Africa Fund has opened its applications for African filmmakers to tender in their film projects and television projects as well. These and more right here on this episode of the Film Mandate. My name is Papa Otu. Stay tuned. Welcome to the Film Mondays, where I bring to you movie news, reviews, and reactions both from the African front and the international scene. Thank you for joining me for this episode of the Film Monday. So, we'll be delving into our very first story, and this story is from none other than Taika Waititi. And for those who have watched the films of Taika Waititi, you know how powerful and influential of a filmmaker he is. And he's made, he's given us films like Jojo Rabbit, which was a phenomenal film, a very critical film, earning Scarlett Johansson her first Oscar win. That is a Best Supporting Actress. And for that particular film as well, he won for an adapted screenplay. So Taika Waititi is quite a formidable, filmmaker. He was said to be working on a Star Wars film. We've not heard much about it since then. But since he left the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I don't know whether he will be directing any other film in the franchise. It's been quiet for a while. We've not heard much about what he's been doing, and finally now we have heard that he's working on a Judge Dredd film published in the Variety. So let's take a look at this article, which was published in the Variety. That's the entertainment and technology. The Variety publication, and written by Rebecca Rubin. So that's him in your shot. So Taika Waititi, the Oscar-winning filmmaker of Jojo Rabbit and two Thor movies, has set sights on his next project. He's attached to direct Judge Dredd, a feature film about the British comic book character. Variety has confirmed. Drew Pearce, known for Fall Guy and Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, will adapt the screenplay. The project doesn't have a studio attached and is being shopped around Hollywood. Created in the 1970s by writer John Wagner and artist Carlos Ezquerra, Judge Dredd is a law enforcement and judicial officer in the dystopian metropolis of Mega City 1. Often a satire of American and British culture, the character has bionic eyes and is empowered to serve as judge, jury, and executioner in the fascist society. He first appeared in the pages of the weekly British anthology comic 2000 AD. The character made his big screen debut in 1995's big budget flop Judge Dredd, starring Sylvester Stallone and uh, Judge Dredd appeared again in 2012's Carl Urban-led reboot Dredd, which also misfired at the box office despite decent reviews. He has also appeared in multiple video game adaptations. Waititi has helmed a pair of comic book tentpoles in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, 2017's Thor Ragnarok and 2022's Thor Love and Thunder. His other directing credits include Jojo Rabbit, for which he won the Best Adapted Screenplay Oscar, and the feel-good sports comedy Next Goal Wins. Waititi also co-created the TV series Reservation Dogs, and directed episodes of Our Flag Means Death and the Disney Plus Star Wars spin-off The Mandalorian. He's also on board to adapt the novel Clara and the Sun into feature films starring Jenna Ortega and Amy Adams for Sony Pictures. So there you have it. Taika Waititi is back to direct the Judge Dredd film, film movie. So Taika Waititi, as we've known him to be, is an exceptional filmmaker. There's one thing you cannot take away from him is how he's able to blend a lot of comic quips, and comedy in whatever film he does. Even though the Thor: Love and Thunder movie wasn't well received, but it did have some interesting laughs in there. And unfortunately, it didn't really go well with a lot of audiences who were used to um, the the ordinary Marvel kind of film. And I think I mean, whether we like it or not, the movie in its entirety, it's actually well directed. Yes, the quips and the other, leaning too much into the comedy, perhaps may not have augured well for the film and him as a whole. But generally, he is indeed a very good director. From Jojo Rabbit, which was a satirical spin on Adolf Hitler and Germany during the era of the World War II, and how he adeptly directed that film to win an Oscar. And he wrote the script as well. So he is indeed a very skillful filmmaker, but with more comedic chops than the than other, dramatic. He could direct it if he wants to, because if you watch the Jojo Rabbit as a film, you realize that the performance of Scarlett Johansson was very riveting, and that those aspects of the film were has nothing to do with comedy. So he is indeed a skillful filmmaker, but likes to infuse a lot of comedy and fun within in his projects that he does. He himself is an actor, so he brings that comedy in whatever acting he does for whatever film he features in. So it is interesting. The question would be that the Dredd as a film itself, it has nothing to do with comedy. It's a very grim, dark, serious kind of story. So with him on board to direct this comic book film, it's likely, I mean, knowing from his past works, it's very likely that he will be infusing comedy in it. The question would be, is it is it going to be with is the comedy going to be delivered by the Judge Dredd character itself, or is it going to be with the surrounding cast around the character Judge Dredd itself? So it is something that we are yet to see once a Hollywood studio takes upon the property to develop with him. So that's the question I think perhaps most people will be concerned about. Is it going to be a comedy, all on comedy like Thor: Love and Thunder, or haven't experienced some of the pushback against the Thor: Love and Thunder movie? Maybe it's going to dial back a little bit and then balance it well as it did in Thor Ragnarok. But the question would be, would people even want comedy in the Judge film, you know, at all? That's the question perhaps will be asked. Would people want comedy with the Judge Dredd film? And that's something we cannot tell, because if you watch that of the Stallone iteration and that of Carl Urban, it had nothing with comedy. It was grim, dark. Um, it's not a movie for kids. Let me put it that way. It's not a movie for kids. So obviously, I'm wondering how he's going to balance, the story. I'm sure he has a very good idea or a great idea for this particular property that he wants to develop. So maybe he may surprise us and be able to give us a very all thrilling four quadrant film that even families with kids may enjoy. So we are yet to see what he's going to come up with. But all the same, I know Taika is a very good film director, filmmaker, and given the opportunity and having the whatever you know balance property with a producer who will be able to help him see things that he may oversee, maybe he will come up with a very powerful Judge Dredd film that would be a box office, darling. At the same time, well received by viewers and critics alike. So, well, we are yet to see what he has to offer us in the Judge Dredd film. So, let me know what your thoughts on this particular, development. You think Taika Waititi as a director is the best fit for the Judge Dredd film? And if he is, what do you think is going to make of this? Is it really going to be well balanced with the comedy like Jojo Rabbit, or may lean too much into um, uh, the comedy side of his kind of directing? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. So, moving on from Taika Waititi in Hollywood to the Irish film industry. So, a couple of episodes that I've been doing, or I mean, a number of stories that I've been seeing and researching into, shows a number of countries all over the world trying to incentivize their film industry in order to attract talent and um, um, foreign money or foreign based dollars into their economy. And one such country that is also pursuing this very seriously is Ireland. And there's an article published in the BBC that states, that gives us more insight into what they are doing now. So let me just read it. And it says that it's cheaper to bring 100 people to Ireland, why the Irish film industry is booming. And this is written by Annie Cassidy. So, helped by generous tax breaks, Ireland's film and TV production sector has never been stronger. When Irish director Diabla Walsh started her career in Ireland in the late 1980s, opportunities for budding filmmakers were limited. There was no work in Ireland, says Walsh. To aspire to be a director was almost a fantasy. Today, the picture is decidedly different. Ireland has emerged as a major force in the global film industry in recent years, both in the development of its own films and television series, as well serving as a location and production hub for international productions. Walsh was the lead director of Apple TV Plus's dark comedy Bad Sisters, one of many TV shows shot on and set in the Republic of Ireland in recent years that, alongside programs including Normal People and Bodkin, have drawn the attention of the global audiences to Irish stories. This year, actress Sharon Hogan received her second consecutive nomination for an Emmy Award for her portrayal as Eva Garvey in Bad Sisters. Irish films also gained international recognition, with both The Banshees of Inisherin and The Quiet Girl being nominated for Academy Awards in 2023. A new generation of Irish screen talent has found the spotlight, including Saoirse Ronan and Paul Mescal. I think Ireland is having a moment, says Walsh. Irish people have a greater confidence. They are able to create from home and sell stories about Ireland. The film and TV sector contributes more than 1 billion euros to the Irish economy annually and directly supports the equivalent of around 10,000 full time jobs. That's according to a report from Ireland, Screen Ireland, the development agency for the Irish film industry. Walsh, who is currently working in Los Angeles shooting Apple TV Plus's upcoming drama series Margot's Got Money Troubles, starring Michelle Pfeiffer and Nicole Kidman, has built an award-winning international career as a director. With Bad Sisters, Walsh says she relished the opportunity to tell a story from an Irish perspective. It was incredibly exciting for me to come home and tell a story that I really felt I understood, she says. The growth of the Irish film industry has been attributed to 3 decades of sustained investment, support, and training, along with generous tax incentives. The Irish government offers a standard 32% tax credit for film, TV, and animation, one of the highest in the world. The way this works is that Irish film production companies can claim back 32% of their production cost against their business tax bill. In California, the equivalent rate is 20%. US actor Rob Lowe recently commented that it's cheaper to bring 100 people to Ireland than to film in Los Angeles. His popular American quiz show, The Floor, is actually recorded in the Irish town of Bray, 20 kilometers uh, south of Dublin. I'm just excited about the stories that have yet to be told. Sierran Charles O. Congale. Let me just take a few more paragraphs and then yeah. So meanwhile, lower budget Irish movies get an even higher tax break of 40%, which was introduced in May 2025. And the Irish government has boosted Screen Ireland's annual budget by 3.3% to 40.85 million euros in 2025, its highest ever level. Our ambition for Ireland is that it's a home for screen storytelling at the highest levels and a leading European hub for filmmaking, says Desiree Finnegan, Screen Ireland CEO. But most of all, we see it as a home for the filmmakers and story makers themselves. Yeah, so let me just leave it here for the moment. So, as we can see, Ireland is not joking. Ireland is bent on helping boost their film industry to a level that is very competitive. And as it stands now, it is competitive. From the article, we deduce that Ireland is making 1 billion euros annually for to contribute to its economy, and all this is as a result from its own film industry and the incentives that they've put in place, not forgetting the 3 decades of consistency in making sure that they bring the industry to that level that they have achieved at the moment. And the interesting thing that aside all these things that they've been able to achieve, they've also increased their own funding for Irish filmmakers within their country to an appreciable amount of is it 33 or 40, somewhere around 40 million. Yeah, so around 40.85 million euros, and that is what they are doing now to even support their own um, the annual budget to support their industry in 2025, and this was achieved in 2025. So it looks like they are really bent on bolstering their industry to compete, I mean, fiercely on the world stage, just as other countries like Australia, America themselves, UK, and other places are doing. And I think it's in the right, it's in the right direction because you would want to attract the best of talents and investments from filmmakers all over the world, and they have even made it a desired destination for shooting, because to have American filmmakers even claiming that it is cheaper to shoot there as compared to their home country is really interesting. Rob Lowe, a US actor, to have said that means that they have seen the differences, and Ireland is bent on making sure that Ireland is the preferred destination when it comes to filmmaking. And it is indeed a very good way to incentivize your country to be the preferred destination for shooting. And I'm really amazed. I'm amazed at how well they are doing for their industry. Look at the fact that even for filmmakers with less budgets or like micro budgets or budgets that are relatively low compared to the bigger one, who are being offered 32%, tax incentives, they are doing 40% for those with lower budgets, mainly for their local filmmakers, but also for foreign filmmakers as well. So it is indeed admirable what they are doing. Looking at the fact that their competition is even higher, their incentives is far higher than what California is offering at 20%. So It is of no wonder that they are attracting these foreign jobs, even from Hollywood. And Trump and his government want to find ways and means of reverting it. So I'm sure the not just Ireland, but all the countries that are incentivizing even more than what what's it called, California is doing at the moment is giving them a fierce competition to the extent that as it stands now, Hollywood or California as a state has revised it and increased its incentives as well. So it is really interesting how countries now are competing fiercely on the global stage with regards to their film industry. So yeah, kudos to Ireland for taking such initiatives. And let me know your thoughts on this incentives that Ireland has put in place for their film industry to attract not just filmmakers within their country to make more films, but also foreigners to do same. Do you think 40% for their for lower budgets and locals and 32% is good enough? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. So moving on from Europe, we are now here on the African soil. And for one of the things that if you've been watching this film podcast or blog that I've been doing for a while, one of some of the things that I keep talking about is the lack of infrastructure or funding for African filmmakers, and I've been talking about this for quite some time. So it's of also it's also good that whilst I've been talking about some of these things, when I discover that there is some funding opportunity somewhere in Africa, I also bring it aboard to share the good news. And one such funding is the the Next Narrative Africa Fund, and they have opened this funding opportunity for African filmmakers wherever they may be on the continent. So the Next Narrative Africa Fund opens call for African film and TV projects. And that is the date here is July 18th. So let me read the article. It says that the Next Narrative Africa Fund, that's NNAF, has announced its first open call for submissions, inviting African and African diasporan filmmakers to apply for script development grants. The initiative aims to spotlight bold, authentic storytelling that redefines global perceptions of Africa and its descendants. Eligible projects must be narrative feature films or episodic series with a strong African connection, led by African creatives, and have at least 50% of production, such as principal photography, based on the continent. Submissions must also demonstrate commercial viability, global appeal, and alignment with NNAF's social impact themes. Applications will be reviewed by the Fund's Greenlight Committee starting in August, with selected projects to be announced in December. Grant recipients may also be considered for future equity investment from the fund. We are seeking visionary stories that reshape how Africa is seen and experienced globally, said Akuna Cook, NNAF founder and CEO and former U.S. Deputy Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs. This initiative supports the profitability of African content and the ecosystem needed for creators to thrive. The Greenlight Committee is chaired by Darcy Husell, former SVP of Artist Culture and Partnerships at Neon. Now is the moment to champion a new generation of African storytellers, Husell said. We want to push the boundaries of what African content can be and reflect the full richness of the continent's creative talent. The application deadline is August 1st, 2025 at 11:59 p.m. At 11:59 p.m. And the email through which you can apply to is nextnarrativeafricafund.com/pitch. Let me say it again, nextnarrativeafricafund.com/pitch. So there you have it. It is really exciting news for filmmakers of African descent to have the opportunity to um, get their films developed and made. And I'm excited about this because we've always been talking about how Africa don't have enough funding for their films. Maybe the infrastructures may not be as what we want, but at least to have this opportunity to have African films being developed, or even at least taking a look at, is a good initiative in the right direction. And I'm excited about this. I'm hoping that this video will be seen by a lot of Africans. If they've not seen this already online somewhere, they will see this video and apply to get their stories, developed into a feature film or a TV project. Hopefully, that is what I hope that can be done. So I will leave the link to this particular fund in the description below so that you can click on it and apply. Do well to apply. If you have scripts, any ideas, give it a try. Definitely read more about the themes that they hope those stories will fall within, so that you don't miss out on this opportunity. So do well to make sure you read all the guidelines and the submission guidelines and the requirements for the script before you apply. But you have to do it as soon as possible because 1st August is barely 2 weeks away. It's barely 2 weeks away. So this is exciting news, and I'm hoping that other bodies who have the capacity to support African films will do so in the very vein that the Next Narrative Africa Fund is doing at the moment. And I'm excited about this. I'm very, very excited. So there you have it. Let me know your thoughts on this and what do you think about this initiative being offered by Next Narrative Africa Fund, and what do you think about more people joining, or more agencies or institutions joining to also support African filmmaking? Put your comments and thoughts in the comment section down below. And today being a Friday, I know you have in mind to go relax and entertain yourself. So I will share with you the films showing in the cinemas today, this weekend, and starting with what we have on the continent of Africa, particularly Nigeria and Ghana. At the Silverbirds Cinema, we have Smiths. That's Rihanna is Smithet. Smiths is showing today. I mean, starting today, July 18th, and it reads. I mean, yeah, and it starts actually showing this morning, 10 a.m. So you can go if you have the time. You can go and watch it this morning. And also for our Hindi Indian movie fan lovers, we have Sayara, which is also premiering today in at the Silverbird. Also from I Know What You Did Last Summer franchise to today, the horror fans can go and watch this film, which is also premiering today as well. Nollywood also has a film in there, which is Freedom Way, premiering today. And as usual, from last week and other weeks, you have Superman, you have Jurassic World Rebirth, F1 the movie, Elio, from the world of John Wick, Ballerina, Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning, A Kiss Too Late. Then last but not the least, we have uh, okay, this is not released yet. That's so the last two is not released yet, but it's been put here to let you know that you can expect it to come soon. So we have the Fantastic Four First Steps, which will be releasing I think next week, and also A Kiss Too Late by a comedy, which is also going to be released in August, about I think 3 weeks or so from today. So yeah, there you have it. Films showing in the Silverbird cinemas. Silverbird cinemas. You can go and watch them if you have the time to. Let's take a look at the films that are screening all over the world from the Rotten Tomatoes website. So new movies in theaters 2025 as well. They keep showing UFC fights in some of the cinemas. So you have UFC 318 Holloway versus is it Poirier or Poiler? I'm not so sure. I can't make out the name clearly. But I Know What You Did Last Summer is also screening, just as it's screening in Ghana or Africa. And let's check other films that are screening today or premiering today. So you have Eddington, Smiths, Cloud, Guns and Moses. You also have Guns Up, Woken, The Vanished, Life After, all screening today. Other films that are screening today, you also have St. Clair, Finally Dawn, Unicorns, Bury Me When I'm Dead, Drowning Dry, Heightened Scrutiny, Death in Texas, Sayara, Ahmed and Ahmed, No Sleep Till, Shiri and Lamb Chop, and last but not the least, Tanvi the Great. It's not the exhausted list, but I'm just referring to the ones that I will cover today. But you can go onto the website of the Rotten Tomatoes and check out more films that are screening worldwide today. So those are the films that are screening today in the cinemas near you. So look for a cinema near you and go and watch a film. Let's keep building the cinema going culture, because that's the only way we can encourage our filmmakers to keep making films to entertain us. So this wraps up my episode for today. I hope you enjoyed yourself, and I would like to take this opportunity to thank you so much for joining me for this episode of the Film Mandate. So I'll be coming your way again with another episode of the Film Mandate soon, with exciting news from over the weekend and perhaps some trailer reactions as well. So thank you so much for joining me. And my name is Papa Otu, and this has been the Film Mandate. I'll see you next week.